How do you think kids make art and money at the same time in 2020?
Just, you know, you have to be different, you know, and you have to be sure of whatever you're going to do. You know, I love to you know, check out new groups and new artists and dig what they're doing, because but have it to be, you got to be talented, of course, but just you know, reach for the stars. You know, don't be afraid to reach in, and don't be complacent. You know, because we need more Miles Davises and more Princes and those type of artists. So I always tell young artists that I meet is just go for the stars. You know your craft. You know, and study your instrument, study your, you know, if it's a voice. You know, listen to older artists. You know, for the foundation. You know,
Absolutely.
you got to.
So I don't think you're really saying that the game, as far as where you're coming from internally, has changed from when we were kids.
Yeah.
It's that same passion. It's that same drive. My mom never said, you really should think about this. This isn't a great career. You're not going to make a lot of money. It's like becoming a professional athlete. My mom was an incredible jazz pianist. And all Mom did was feed me gigs. She always supported. And I think that support group around you, have people that believe in you, is worth more money than anything.
Definitely.
As well.
I mean, I had a lot of friends who didn't have supportive parents, and man, I felt for them. You know,
So
dads were just always down on them. Mom was, you know what I mean? Just
absolutely.
talk down on them.
You do a lot for education. Explain to me your heart for education. What are you doing? I know you're at South by Southwest. What are you talking about at those places?
Well, at South by Southwest, we have a what do you call it? We title it the Miles Davis House, and we break new groups and indie bands, you know, because everybody needs a shot, you know, and then we'll have a headliner, you know, like a top name.
Sure.
But Karen Sundell and my cousin Aaron, our publicist Karen Sundell and my cousin Aaron, they pick the bands, and it's great to hear all these bands, man, because it's, you know, killer bands out here in the world, you know, and so I just sit and announce them and introduce them and sit back and check them out. You know, I never want to be closed-minded to anybody out here trying to make it in the game. You know, because somebody gave me a break, my uncle. You know,
Right.
You know, and look how many people Miles gave a break to. You know, and how your mom was supportive, and
Absolutely.
Prince and you know what I mean. So we have to keep that flow, that lineage.
That reach is so far. I mean, not only my musical family, the Peterson family, I'm the youngest. Mm-hmm. The lives that they have touched and supported artists coming up in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and then growing into the Prince camp. I've got some brothers and sisters from the Prince camp in the audience here today. Let me hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a few of them anyway. But we are bonded by that guy, and we'll always have that, and we were supported. And he touched so many other people's lives. It gave the opportunity, the nod, and notice something in each and every one of us, and really launched a lot of careers out of that. And I look at that as a 50-plus-year-old man, and that's what I think my legacy should be. What is Vince Wilburn's legacy?
Well, I would just like to keep the music flowing, you know, and long after I'm gone, just to say, hey, he cared about the music, you know, because, you know, I grew up in Chicago, and Earl's from Chicago, and some people here from Chicago, and you know, it's so violent now, and so kids killing each other, and back when I was coming up, you know, you had a fist fight, and that was it, and then the next day, y'all were buddies again.
Right.
You know, but how can you take somebody else's life? You know, I think that, and I'm not here to preach, but if you had after-school programs,
right,
music programs, social studies where you get together after school, you know,
right,
you wouldn't have that. If we had instruments, you know, we have a Miles Davis Academy, and they had padlocks on the library at the Miles Davis Academy, and no music in the school, you know. Because anytime they have cutbacks, music and phys ed is the first thing to go.
That's correct.
You know,
that has got to change.
So, oh yeah, definitely. You know, and that's my fight. You know, all over the world I try to go, and I visit the kids. You know,
So when you're on tour, do you go out to different places?
man,
with
I
the-
was in Soweto, and I went to Mandela's school and just sat and talked to the kids, and you know, of course, we had translators and just hung. You know, anywhere I go in the world, I try to do that, and I cry and I, you know, get
Man,
soft.
well,
I'm the
that's-
big kid, but
Man, that's
you know,
all
it's
about-
important, man.
It sure
It's
is.
important. You remember when the firemen came to your school, or
Yes.
the policemen came here? Now, I got a police officer friend in Chicago. He said, man, even though we wear body cameras, man, the cats, you know, these kids talk about our mothers, talk about our wives, you know, call our mothers hoes. Now, how you going to tell a police officer, call a police officer's mother a hoe? You know, but that's the sign of the times, you know, and sad.
Doesn't have
you
to
know?
be, man.
You know, it's sad, but we can change it. And you and I hope, are changing. the
I'm
world.
telling you, and Victor was in here. Victor Wooten was here yesterday, and he feels the exact same way. He said to me yesterday, the world already has a bunch of great musicians. What the world needs more of is great people.
Yeah.
And that's how we change this, I think. That's how we make a difference
Yeah.
in this world.
Yeah. I noticed another thing when a kid would come backstage to see Uncle Miles, how he would, you know, tell him to keep playing, or he would have a cool word for him. You know, I checked that out too. You know, and that you know, that's important for a kid to hear that from Miles Davis or from anybody. You know, and keep at it. You know.
Right.
Tony Williams asked him, could he sit in when Tony was little? Tony was like 15 or 14. He said, no, just go listen, sit down and listen. You know. Then Tony came back at 16, 17 and turned that quintet around. You know, he was fiery.
One of my favorites of all time. And
Yeah.
you got to sit by the side of the stage and watch
Yeah, I was-
all
yeah.
your heroes.
Yeah, Tony, Al Foster, Jack DeJohnette.
What was it like to hang with Al Foster?
He used to tell me, he said, move to New York. This is what he would always say, move to
Yeah.
New York. You got to move to New York. You know, he was very supportive.
Wow.
You know, all the musicians that ever played with Uncle Miles were supportive of my career. You know, and I still keep in touch with them.
What's the biggest thing that impact that Miles made on you? If you could take it away one thing, what's the biggest impact that Miles had
to
on
be
you?
true to the music.
Okay.
Yeah, don't cheat the music. You know, I mean, this man had Ferraris and houses in Malibu, a penthouse in New York, but he was always about the music. You know, he was the first one to get up in the morning, the last to go to sleep at night, and I would see how the love and the passion of music was in him. You know, and I was like, damn, this is wow. You know, just if he wasn't playing the trumpet, the board tape, the concert tapes would be on, playing in the background, or new music would, you know, the new records he was working on was on, or MTV or something was on the TV with the sound down. But it's always music. It's always music. Always music. You know,
Always
that's
surrounded
something
by it.
that I'll never forget. I'm sure Prince was that way. I'm sure.